On November 17, 1991, Parker Turner, a seasoned diver, entered the depths of Indian Springs Cave with his dive partner, Bill Gavin. But what began as a routine exploration soon spiraled into a nightmare. With their exit from the cave blocked, Bill and Parker were faced with a blocked tunnel, dwindling air supply, and near zero visibility. As the dive reached its end, both divers made a critical decision, one that sealed Parker's fate in the dark, murky waters. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe for more chilling stories of survival and tragedy. Let us know in the comments if there's a story you'd like us to explore. This is the haunting story of Parker Turner. Indian Springs is a remote cave in Florida known for its unique, challenging profile and deep, unexplored sections. A particular area, the Wakulla Room, had intrigued divers for years, but it was the extreme depth and the specialized equipment required that kept most teams from attempting it. It was here on November 17, 1991, that two seasoned divers, Bill Gavin and Parker Turner, embarked on a dive that would change their lives forever. Bill, an experienced technical diver with years of exploration behind him, was known for his steady calm in high-stress situations. Parker, equally skilled but with a more adventurous edge, had become a trusted partner in numerous dives. The two had planned the dive for nearly 2 years, preparing their equipment, studying the cave's layout, and calculating their gas mixtures down to the last detail. They would first descend to 140 feet, breathing a special gas mixture of EN27, which is 27% oxygen for a transit phase. From there, they would continue deeper into the cave to explore the unexplored Wakulla Room, which was at a depth of 300 feet. Here, the divers would switch to Trimix 1444, a gas blend of 14% oxygen, 44% helium, and the remainder nitrogen, necessary to mitigate the risk of nitrogen narcosis of oxygen toxicity at such depths. The entire dive was expected to take some hours, with the deepest section of the dive lasting 20 to 25 minutes. In total, both divers anticipated spending close to 2 hours underwater, including the long decompression phase. Also, they were accompanied by a support team of experienced divers who would stay close by just in case. But this team will not go as deep as Bill and Parker. Indeed, the dive began as planned, without a hitch. Bill and Parker descended smoothly, the waters of Indian Springs as calm and clear as they had hoped. When they reached the Wakulla Room at 300 feet, the sense of accomplishment was tangible. The two divers began exploring, methodically searching the cave's many passageways. The quiet, eerie stillness of the water around them seemed almost serene. Every move was precise, every decision calculated. This was the moment they had been preparing for. Their dive plan was working as intended, and both divers were in their element. The deeper they went, the more the cave revealed itself. 63 minutes into their dive, they decided to exit, but as they moved through the tunnels, something happened. Parker's diver propulsion vehicle, which they had been using to speed up their exit, suddenly slowed down. He then signaled to Bill, who swam towards him, to increase his speed with his own propulsion vehicle. At first, it didn't seem like a big issue, just a minor glitch. They were still far from the deepest parts of the dive and had plenty of gas to work with, so there was no immediate danger and no sense of urgency. But then something terrible happened. You see, as the support divers were decompressing near the cave's entrance, limestone rocks fell from the ceiling, triggering an underwater landslide. The debris, including rocks, sand, and mud, slid deeper into the cave, blocking it and reducing visibility to near zero. So as Bill and Parker went higher towards the cave's entrance, their visibility started to fade. It was subtle at first, just a slight blur of their surrounding. But then, as they approached a critical point in their exit, the water grew murkier by the second. The clouds of silt gradually swallowed the floor of the cave until it was impossible to make out even the faintest shapes in the distance. Nevertheless, Bill and Parker kept their cool. They had been through situations like this before, except this time, maintaining line contact in near-zero visibility quickly became a challenge. The cave, once so clear, now felt like a maze of shadow and confusion. Every movement became harder to track. They couldn't see the line ahead, and they couldn't feel the familiar pull of the current. Then came the moment of true uncertainty. They reached a section of the line that was buried under sand. Bill tugged at it, trying to free it, but the sand had collapsed too far. The line was lost beneath the sediment. They knew how important the line was, how much it represented. It wasn't just a safety measure, it was their path home. With visibility now less than a foot, it was clear the clock was ticking. Parker checked his air gauge. It was around 400 psi. Bill's own air wasn't much better. They tried to dig out the line, but each effort only seemed to bury it deeper. Time slipped through their fingers like sand. Their resources were dwindling, the air in their tanks, the precious minutes ticking away, and their hope of a clean exit. With each attempt to retrieve the line, the pressure mounted. Confused and worried, Parker asked Bill what they were going to do, and his companion responded, "Hold on, I'll go look." Parker nodded, resigned to waiting by the stage bottles. As Bill swam, hope began to fade. He searched the murk, but every turn led to more darkness. His own air supply was running low. After searching in vain for an exit 5 minutes later, he returned to the stage bottles, but Parker was no longer there. Panic crept in as Bill's eyes frantically searched the murk. Where was Parker? Had he left? Had something gone wrong? The weight of the realization started to settle. Parker was lost. Bill dove deeper, the silence of the cave wrapping around him like a thick, suffocating blanket. Then his eyes caught sight of something, the safety spool, tangled and abandoned, caught in the silt. His stomach churned. Parker's equipment. Bill followed the line with trembling hands, each turn unraveling more of the nightmare. There was no sign of Parker, just the haunting evidence of what had happened. There were tangled gear, signs of a struggle, and the unforgiving sand that had shifted, all creating the obstruction that had trapped Parker. Basically, the underwater currents and shifting sand seemed to have conspired against Parker. Bill managed to quickly exit the cave before he too was overwhelmed by its cruelty. The recovery operation the following day was painstaking. Visibility had improved, but it didn't make the task any easier. The team combed through the cave, and it wasn't long before they discovered Parker's body lying in the depths. The mystery of what happened that day was later unraveled by the experts. Parker's tanks had become stuck, likely caught in the shifting sand and the currents. What should have been a routine, controlled situation spiraled into chaos, with the cave's elements, such as its currents, the sand, and the unpredictable nature of the space, creating a fatal chain of events. Parker's fate had been sealed long before Bill had realized something was wrong. The loss weighed heavily on the team. The dangers of cave diving were already well known, but this tragedy served as a chilling reminder of the unpredictable power of nature and the sometimes silent, invisible forces that could make the difference between life and death. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this on Truly Tragic.